Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Build Computers. Today we're taking a look at the Cooler Master MasterBox Lite 5. Let's do it. Alright, so this is the MasterBox Lite 5. We've seen one of these on the channel before. One of these came in for a repair job. And I saw it and I was like, oh, that's a kind of nice case. And I'm about to start a budget gaming build. And I selected this one because this case, I just bought it on Amazon for £42. Now, normally, as soon as you step below the £50 marker, all the cases are garbage. And I saw that there was a Cooler Master going cheap. And I really like cheap Cooler Master cases. You know, I mean, they're not the finest quality things in the world, but they meet those minimum standards for something that you'd actually wouldn't mind owning. And like the old Cooler Master Elite series, you know, they were cheap cases and they were stamped tin, but they worked, they were structural and they looked presentable, you know. And it's the same going on here. As you can see, this is a really nice, modern looking case. Now this is all plastic, it's not tempered glass, you don't get that for £42, but we do get a plastic full-size window that looks like tempered glass. So it looks like a fancy case. And we've got this very heavily smoked front panel. This is called the dark mirror front panel. They say it's a mirror because it's reflective, but that's just because it's glossy. It's not actually mirrored at all. But as you can see, if I move my studio light around the back here, that's actually just very heavily smoked. So if you have LED fans mounted on the front panel of this thing, those will glow. Those will glow through that front panel. So that's what's going on with that. That's the dark mirror front panel. And overall, it looks like a really smart case. It's a decent size, ATX size, fairly compact. It's not obnoxiously large. There's not a lot of wasted space in it, but there's a little bit of padding here and there. So like, for example, if we wander around the back, we've got a nice overall width on the whole thing, so you can put big graphics cards in it. We've got a 120mm fan at the back with up and down rails. Although, to be honest, considering there's no top mount, for a top mount radiator, this seems rather pointless because most of the time the reason why you might want that is just so you can lower the fan to clear a top mount radiator. However, I guess this does mean that you could line it up slightly with your CPU fan or something like that. Whatever, it doesn't cost them anything to put it in there. But they have shipped out with what looks like quite a nice Cooler Master fan, so we'll check that guy out in a sec and see if he's any good. Right, so let's get the side panel of this thing off and take a look inside. So unfortunately, because it's pretending to be a tempered glass side panel, you do have the 4 thumb screws, and I really hate these designs. It's a pain in the backside to take these off, which is why, for those of you who watch my channel, you'll see that on my new build that I did recently, the Coringwood build, I used a nice shiny new NZXT H500, which had a quick release system. And oh, good grief, these things are horrifying to get out. What's going on with that? Oh, there we go. We're getting somewhere now. You're going to need to use a big, fast screwdriver to open these up for the first time. I'm trying not to gouge chunks out of the metal with my screwdrivers. There we go. Hopefully, since I've undone these now, I'm not going to do them up quite that tightly, so hopefully they should be fine. Right, let's just gently take that out. Okay, right. Are those captive screws? They're not captive screws, but they have little rubber washers in them which kind of hold the screws in place. So that's kind of nice. Right, so let's put the window to one side. And as you can see, the window has a slight smoke to it. So it's got a little bit of tint, but not much. All right, so having a look around the inside of the case, very simple layout here. ATX tray. We have a slight, we've got a slight incline here. So this bit is spaced out a little bit to give some cable tidy space round behind it, which is good. That's an easy design. There's not much to it though, so you know you haven't got gallons of space behind there. But that's only going to be an issue if you're putting in a lot of drives on this. For most builds, that won't be an issue at all, but worth noting. And we can mount 2.5-inch drives on these sections here. We've got a removable 2.5-inch bracket there, or we'll find out if those are reversible in a minute. I doubt they are, to be honest. And then down the front here, we have 120 and 140mm fan rails, and they're very good. There's a huge array of them, so you can kind of mount your fans at any position you want. You're not locked to exact thirds. And also, we've got the cutout in the case here, so you can put a massive 360-degree rad all the way down the front there if you want to as well, which is nice. Then we have a partially vented PSU enclosure here, but annoyingly, the venting actually stops there, which is kind of strange. It doesn't actually go all the way back to the power supply. You could probably mount your power supply fan side up there, but I don't know, that seems like pointless venting. I'm not sure why they bothered with that, to be honest, but it is what it is. Other than that, it's very tidy. As I mentioned, there's no top fan mount at all on this case. This is just block finish across the top. There's no mounts up there, nothing. So this 120mm fan, that's your only exhaust on this case, and I think that's kind of the weak point of this thing. Now, in most computers, that single exhaust fan at the back is all you're going to need, so I'm not too worried about that. However, if you were running like an SLI setup or something like that, you're going to have a lot of heat in this case and very little means of getting it out of the computer. So, but then on the other hand, if you're running an SLI setup, you're probably going to buy a case that's more expensive than this one. But I don't know, I feel like they could have put a token gesture grill or just a 140mm fan mount at the top or something like that, just so you got that extra exhaust if you want to use it. But nah, that's just me. Right, let's open this up and see what's inside and turn it round and have a look at the back. Right, so in this rather large box of tricks here, we've got, ooh, that's cool. It's come with the black trim on it. So one of the things about the Cooler Master MasterBox series is you can customize them. But this is something that we see on a lot of computer stuff where they say, oh, you can get it in different colors and you can customize it. But no one knows where to actually buy the bits from. So you just got to buy it in the color you want from the get-go. However, on this, we've actually come with the replacement top parts. So this is the matte black one. So this red trim here, this has actually come with the black trim, so you can change this out to be just fully matte black if you want to, and it's actually come with those parts, which is super rare. That's cool, I like that. And again, on a budget case, really uncommon. I mean, sure, it's just a bit of plastic, but that's a really nice touch. I wasn't expecting that. That explains why this box is so big. What else is in here? Oh, and white as well, look at that. So we've now got a choice of white, black, or red on this thing. So at some point in this video, I'm going to take that front panel off and see how easy it is to change those out. That's cool. That's really cool that it came with those. I was not expecting that. I knew that this thing was customizable, but the fact that it actually came with the custom trim parts for you to do it yourself, all on the same price, that's really cool. I'm a fan. So around the back here, here's where all the fittings are that I was expecting to find in that box. So we've got a selection of cable ties. There's like 10 cable ties there, and we've got a good selection of screws and other fittings there. We've got some long screws. We've got some what the hell are those? Interesting. We've got some kind of plastic screws. I don't understand what the use of those are, but yeah, we've got some standoffs. We've got some metric and some imperial screws. And we also do have a standoff adapter in there for screwing in your standoffs. So bog standard stuff, no problem. Let's check out what these cables are like. So we've got USB 3 front panel, got the HD audio, and we have separated front panel connectors, which are nicely labeled. Not quite as good as the new NZXT cases have all of these on a single block, so it's much easier to fit. Cooler Master haven't caught up there yet, but this is an older case anyway, I believe. So yeah, let's spin that around and have a look at that front panel while we're here. So the front panel actually looks really good. So dual USB 3, got a hard drive light there, power button there, just a tactile switch, so clicky one. And then we've got your mic and your headphones and a reset switch. Nice little reset switch there, something that you won't hit accidentally, but it's available. I like having the reset switch. It's just put it there. And heading back around to the back again, we've got two 3.5-inch bays, which are proper toolless ones as well. That's just a clip-in thing. So you can clip your 3.5-inch drives in there. and those will take a 2.5-inch drive. And what's going on with that? There's something funny going on there. That's adjustable somehow. What does it do? It gets wider slightly. Oh, I see. That's how it works. So normally with these hard drive bays, you kind of sort of bend them like that to snap your hard drive in. On this one, it's got this elaborate click open mechanism. So you just plop the drive in there and then close it again. That's slightly excessive, but sure, I'll take that. And then you've got your screw holes for 2.5-inch drives there as well, which are offset, so it leaves the SATA connector lined up with where a 3.5-inch drive would be. That's a nice touch. It makes your cables nice and aligned down the back. Only 2 bays. There's, I don't know. Again, NZXT. Well, I mean, I'm comparing this versus my H500 because that's my current gold standard for a case, and that's a £100 case versus a £40 case. But I don't know. In a big case like this, there is room for 3.5-inch drives, and only having 2 is kind of lazy to me. But I don't know. You don't need more than 2 anyway on an average thing, so that's fine. Unfortunately, though, there's nowhere to rear mount 2.5-inch drives. I don't think. Let's see if we can reverse. Can we reverse that 2.5-inch? This 2.5-inch bracket from the front there. That doesn't look reversible to me, which is yeah. For me, I don't like to have these things on show. Can I put this anywhere? I think I can put that around the back. Does that fit? Just about, yeah, that fits there. You'd have to reroute these cables slightly, but you can mount your 2.5-inch drives there. It's only come with one of these though, so you can only put a single one there. However, that still means that you can have a 2.5-inch and dual 3.5-inch drives there. Although, to be honest, on a modern computer, you want to be moving your SSDs over to M2 cards anyway. So again, I'm not going to bust them over this. And again, £40 case. You know, we're doing pretty good for 40 quid so far. So yeah, that's cool. I like it. I'm okay with that. Power supply bay. This is one of those annoying ones where you can't just push the power supply in sideways like that. You have to take off this rear bracket here. So this guy unscrews on 2 sides, and then you've got to screw this plate onto the back of your PSU and feed the whole lot into the back of the case. It's a really annoying design. You know, if you make this thing like 5mm taller, you can just slot your power supply into the back like you do on an NZXT. And then you don't have to mess about with these plates, but whatever. Let me see, there is a nice little bit of padded feet there, so there's a little bit of a gap between the fan and the bottom vent. And the bottom vent is just a token gesture, bit of mesh grill on the bottom there. So again, as people who watch my channel know, I like to mount my power supplies fan side up. That's not really possible on this case. It's got to be fan side down. So I mark that as a negative. However, I seem to be I seem to have an unpopular opinion over power supply mounting. So I'm not going to mark it down for that because no one else seems to care. Right, I think that's all there is to see on this part of it. Oh yeah, this fan at the back there, it's a 3-pinner. It looks like a nice big ball bearing fan there. So it's a decent airflow fan, but only 3 pins, so you know, no points up. But it's asking a lot for them to ship a 4-pin fan there. NZXT on their H500 don't ship it with 4-pin fans, so again, I'm not going to bust them over that. Okay, while I got it in pieces and before I start building in it, let's see how easy it is to swap out this front panel. So let me see, we've got the round pegs design on this one. So this front panel will literally just pull off the case. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick my hand underneath the bottom there, and probably about there, I think. I'm just going to pull it off. Here we go. There's nowhere to grab hold of it. Let me just overhang this slightly. Oh, there we go. Ah, that's cool. Right, so let's reposition that. So as you can see, the front panel has stayed on the case, so I haven't got a load of wires hanging off, which makes that really easy to get to. We have got a mesh filter at the bottom there, so it has got a filtered intake from the bottom. So it's a very narrow intake there. There's not a lot of room to get air into the case. So that's not going to be a problem if you're running just a casual computer. If you were running something that required a high airflow, like triple fans along the front, or you're running your front fans at high speed, that might cause a bit of a bottleneck, but I think you'll be all right. It's easy enough to get to that to clean it. So yeah, right. Let's try changing this over to the white options. So how does this come off? It looks like these screw on. So I'm going to grab my screwdriver and just take those screws out. I dropped one. Oh lordy, we'll find that guy when I'm not recording. All right, so screws are out. So, well, the front one just literally just fell out, so that's that. And this also just, that clipped in somehow maybe? I need to be careful with this because, as I say, I'm conscious of the fact that this plastic will scratch very easily. So I want to be very careful. Oh, there we go. Okay, so you've got sort of, there's two plastic notches just sticking out of these tips here that poke into there. So you just have to sort of, while it's fitted, you have to pull it that way just to get that out. And once one is out, the other just kind of falls out. So that's that. So let's grab the white inserts and take a look at those. Now these don't have the mesh filters on them, so we do have to move the mesh filter by hand as well. So that just pops out. And we'll just fit that in there, and that just kind of just clips into place. There we go. And there is a tiny, tiny bit of mesh. There's such a small amount of filtering there. They may as well have not bothered, but fine, whatever. Okay, right, so let's put that in there. So I'm just going to push that into place and just clip that in. These top clips are super awkward. It's not very obvious exactly how they go in. Let's try putting the clip in first. Ow. I'm injuring myself on this now. Whew. Oh. That's really, it's one of those, it's so close to being in, and you're just sort of, I'm pressing on it and like, oh my God, just go in. Oh, there we go. I think I've got it. I've got one end in anyway. However, like, I'm experienced with opening up laptops and opening up plastic fittings and stuff like that, and I'm really struggling with this. I can hear the YouTube comments laughing at me of someone who's got this case and is going to go, oh, it's really easy to fit it in. I'm like, well, I don't think so. Ow. There we go. Oh. Whew. All right, so how I did that in the end. So I was holding it upright. I've got my hand there. I'm pressing the top bit down, and then I have my thumb under there, pressing that bit up and away. Put a dent in the end of my thumb doing it. Whew. Okay, so the top one is a pain in the backside. That's a pain. The bottom one should be a bit easier. This one just fell out when we were working on it. So here we go. There we go. Done. Let's put the screws back in. And on it goes. Ba-da! And now it's black and white. There we go. So there's the white one. All black and white. Cool. Right, so, yeah. Marks out of 10 for the idea, being able to change that trim and the fact that it comes with the different trims for you to swap out. Love it, love everything about it, really cool idea. That top trim is a pain in the backside to get out though. Yeah, that was a horrendous ordeal trying to get that out and put the new one in. That was very difficult. However, obviously, theoretically, you've only got to do it once while you're building it. So yeah, I'm fine. Okay, so yes, hassling. I'm out of breath and I'm all hot and sweaty now, but you know, it's okay. I do like it though. As I say, I'm still amazed that for £42, I've got all the extra bits of trim and I can swap them out as I see fit. So yeah, that's cool. I like it. Let's build a computer in it. Okay, so that's our main build done. If you want to see more details of the build as I did it, there'll be a separate video for this particular build, which was the £600 budget gaming computer. So check out that video to see more about me building inside this case. Okay, so here's our finished build done with this case, and nothing to report really. The build was textbook. I have no major complaints of the case. There were a couple of little nitpicks that I noticed while I was building inside this one. So firstly, the venting on the power supply shroud. I did mention this when I was doing a walk around the case, and you know, again, I noticed it while I was building, is that the venting is just not in a useful place. There are some token gesture vents over the top of the hard drive, but there's no venting over the top of the power supply that would allow you to invert your power supply like I like to do. In addition to that, I don't know, it didn't feel quite as, it felt, the power supply shroud is just there. There's no design that's gone into it. It doesn't even have a tactical hole for your graphics card power lines to come up through, you know, following the NZXT meta. There's just no real thought that's been put into that, but it's not a bad thing. It works, you know, it does its job. The other thing I noticed was that on the particular motherboard that I was fitting, I didn't have all of the standoff holes that I needed. So I'm not sure if this motherboard was just using a really obscure hole, or whether this case was just straight up lacking all of the potential standoff points. But either way, there was one missing. Finally, as I noticed after I finished putting all the case back together, putting all the side panels on, as usual, I gave the windowed side panel and the front a wipe down with some multi-surface polish, just to get rid of the static on it, because obviously as soon as you unbox any kind of plastic and pull the plastic film off of it, dust will just rush to it like a moth to a lamp. So you have to do something about that. So I just go over it with some Mr. Sheen multi-surface polish, which leaves an anti-static layer on there. But the problem is even with as careful as I was, there are still just very slight micro scratches that the cloth left in the window. And like, I was being so careful as well, yet still, if you look very closely, you can see where it's been wiped down. Now, I haven't ruined it or anything, but this was me being really, really careful. You know, the bottom line is that the plastic that's used on the front panel and the window is just too soft. You have to treat this thing like it's made of gold, frankincense and myrrh. You know, if this thing gets rough treatment, if you haul it back and forth to LAN parties, it's going to get scratched to hell. It's just an inevitability. However, for 40 quid, I think it looks brilliant. So yeah, I do like it for the price. It's got its drawbacks, however, it's more or less one of the cheapest cases you can buy without buying absolute trash. So yeah, I'm going to give it the thumbs up for that. So thanks for watching everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.